Okay, guys, got chapter 23 of Amal Unbound. Later that week, I ran Nazreen Baji's bath and sprinkled lavender petals into the water. I laid out her clothes on her bed as she stepped into the bathroom. I glanced at the clock. I had 10 minutes. Slipping into my room, I grabbed the book hidden beneath my pillow. I tucked it under my shawl before heading downstairs to return it. After finishing a few poetry books earlier in the week, I had read my first biography, the story of Allama Iqbal. Omar would have laughed at me for picking up such a heavy tome, but choosing thick books meant I could hold on to them longer before I needed to exchange them. And now I understood why Iqbal was Miss Sadia's favorite poet. It turned out he wasn't just a poet, he was also a politician, a teacher, a lawyer, a scholar, and a knight. I thought one dream was enough for a person, but reading this story, I learned some people could hold on to many different dreams and see them all come true. I went down the hallway leading to the library, past Takir, the elderly servant who dusted the baseboards. He didn't even glance at me as I passed him. Slipping inside, I put the book back into its spot and ran my hands over the other titles. I paused at the thick black dictionary on the bottom shelf. Omar always wanted one of his own. He said dictionaries contained every word ever uttered. I pulled it out. It was heavier than expected. The paper was thinner than in the other books, and the font was tiny. I smiled. What if I read this whole thing? What would Omar say when I told him I read all the words to ever exist? I heard footsteps. Tukur. I tightened my grip on the dust rag, my ready excuse for why I was there. But before I could slip the dictionary back onto the shelf, I saw it wasn't Tukur. It was Jawad Sahib. He stood at the entrance, and he was blocking me. And what do you think you're doing here? He asked. I'm dusting. I gestured to the dust rag and tried to keep my voice from trembling. And that's why you're holding my book? His eyes narrowed. I thought you've learned your lesson by now, but I returned home and learned my new servant has been stealing books from me. I have to say, that takes a great deal of nerve. Stealing? I gasped. Never! I bet you saw my books and thought they'd fetch a big price, right? But you could sell 1,000 of them and never make enough to pay off what you owe. I would never steal from you, Sahib. I borrowed some books, yes, but I returned all of them. Who said you could walk in here and take my things? My face flushed. He was right. I shouldn't have, I said, and I'm sorry. But these books, you have so many. There's dust gathering on their spines. I couldn't help it. Forgive me. I've missed reading so much. There was a long pause. You can read? He asked. Yes, of course. Can you write as well? I didn't know whether to be offended at his presumptions or relieved. The storm clouds seemed to be parting, relieved blue skies and sunlight. I can write. I can read. I know math as well. He studied me for a moment. Full of surprises, aren't you? But his words weren't filled with his usual contempt. I can't remember the last time I read one of these books, he said as he walked to the bookshelf and examined the titles. I might have been your age when I read A Stranger in Al-Andalus. He pulled the book from the shelf. I love this one. Read it so many times. My father replaced my worn copy with a new one. He didn't realize I liked the feel of the old one. I tried imagining him as a teenager, sentimental about a worn book. I couldn't. His mobile phone rang. He glanced at the phone and then at me. I'm letting this pass, he said. See, I can be a forgiving man, but don't touch my books again. He lifted the phone to his ear and motioned for me to leave. I stepped into the hallway. He let me go. He did not punish me. Nothing happened. Everything was fine. I should have felt grateful. But the thing was, those books were what made my days bearable. They were what helped me sleep at night, without my homesickness choking me. Without books, what was there to look forward to?